Hello, everyone. Um, this is Mary Sketch, and for those of you I haven't met, I am the coordinator of the Virginia Soil Health Coalition, and so excited to be with you all today on National Soil Health Day. So thank you so much for joining us to celebrate all things soil health and all of the partners across Virginia and the country that are working to conserve and restore the soils. So I've really had the honor to work on the For the Soil campaign in the recent months with many of the partners across Virginia and social impact studios with Ennis Carter here, and especially with Eric Benfield with Virginia Cooperative Extension. And the campaign seeks to raise awareness of soil health and its critical importance, as well as to highlight what farmers and partners across Virginia are doing to steward the soil. And it's really focused on these four core principles of soil health that NRCS, the Natural Resource Conservation Service, outlines. 1, keep the soil covered. 2, minimize soil disturbance. 3, maximize living roots. And 4, energize with diversity. And so, what I really love so much about the campaign is that it keeps it pretty simple. Soil science can be complicated, and there's a lot of complex things, but that at the core of it, it doesn't have to be. And this common ground can bring all of us together: farmers, conservation practitioners, master gardeners, lawn managers, really everyone and consumers who's impacted by the health of the soil. But so I think that's enough of my talking, and really want to focus today on hearing from 2 of our featured farmers in the For the Soil campaign, Amy Hicks and Mike Phillips. I'm so grateful to have you both with us. Amy is a farmer with Amy's Organic Garden in Charles City, Virginia, producing produce and cut flowers. And Mike Phillips is coming to us from Rockingham County and Valley View Farm, where he raises cattle, sheep, goats, and pigs, and has a long background in farming and conservation. And I believe also works in conservation with the USDA NRCS. So either of you correct me if I'm wrong, but so grateful to have you both here as such stewards of the soil and for current and future generations. So I'll turn it over to you to introduce yourselves a little more. Amy, we'll start with you.
Hey, hi everybody. Thank you, Mary. Thank you for having us on today. As you said, I'm a certified organic vegetable and cut flower farmer here in Charles City County, Virginia, so located near Williamsburg and Richmond. The farm has been certified for over 20 years now, certified organic. And so we've always, worked with the soil in mind. As organic farmers, we just know that everything starts with the soil. If we have good, healthy soil, then we're going to have healthy, thriving plants. And that's what's needed to really to ward off pest and disease. So as organic farmers, that's super, super important to us. So protecting our soil and feeding our soil and having healthy plants is paramount to what we do here. So we're just excited to be a part of this initiative, and are grateful that you all are doing it, and look forward to talking to anybody and everybody that we can about healthy soil. So thank you.
Thanks, Amy. And Mike, well, a little bit on your background and where you're coming to us from today.
Well, hello again to everybody. My name again is Mike Phillips, and I'm from Rockingham County, which we're in the number 1 ag county in the state. I'm looking at the educational part of where I came from, my roots of why I'm at the point I'm in right now. What I mean by, I showed you earlier about this photo right here that you're looking at. That is my father. This picture is dated about 1943, right after his father's death. And my father when I came along years later, he had seen so much erosion in his lifetime that he instilled into me the importance of doing conservation work and working with the conservation people when I got older, always protect that soil, whatever you need to do, protect the soil. In that time frame, we're looking at in the 60s at this point. And anyhow, my father would teach me things like grass waterways and the contour farming and that sort of thing. And as time went on, and where I'm kind of going with this soil health is where I started from and where I'm at today, if that's okay with you all. In 1977, I was 17 years old, and I bumped into not bumped in, I actually met a man from the Soil Conservation Service. His name's Randy Maupin. And that day in 77 is when Randy Maupin, and you've probably heard me say this before, when we was out in the field and I was talking to him about the grass waterways and so forth, and I told him we didn't have any erosion here. And Randy Maupin held a dime up to me like this, and he said, "Mike, do you see the thickness of this dime?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "Mike, if you took that much soil off of 1 acre ground, it's equivalent to 5 tons. And at that point in time, there was a huge turning point. I was already playing a little bit with no-till at that time. Now I'm 62 now, I was 17 at the time. And that made an impact on me that will always be remembered. And so when I started with no-till, working there, then later on in 1986, I bumped into another gentleman from the Soil Conservation Service. Interesting enough, we're talking about the Soil Conservation Service, which is now NRCS. I bumped into another gentleman by the name of Bill Patterson. Bill Patterson started helping me working on a field, again, thinking about my father, all the erosion he'd seen what his grandfather did. Going back that for a second, my grandfather, my great-grandfather had farmed that field. We've owned it since 125 years, 128 years now. But there was so much erosion that my father, there was a particular ditch in the middle of a good cropping field. And Bill Patterson helped me put in motion to fix that ditch. And to give you the equivalent, it took me 7 years roughly to get enough soil. And the amount of material I had to use that I wrote down was 77 tandem loads of soil on trucks and 23 earth moving, and not to mention what else I put in over that I didn't write down over the course of that time. That was something that made my dad extremely proud, because he had told me many times that as he grew up as a boy, up until the time I fixed it, he said whenever we ran a binder through the field or any kind of harvesting equipment with horses, we couldn't go across it. We had to either go up or down because it was so deep. To give you a idea how deep this ditch was, and Bill Patterson, if you ask him, he will tell you that you could bury the tractor trailer in one section of it and cover it over. That's how much soil it was. So you can see where I'm going with this. Then in 2003, I met a man that people laughed at, made fun of, man, that he was so far advanced in his thinking. He was a World War II veteran. His name was Carl Lubin. And anybody knows about the award that's given out over the years, the Carl Lubin Award. People in the early on laughed at him, made fun, thought he was out in left field. To find out today, Carl Lubin was dead on the spot on the biological activity of the soil and so forth. So as you can see, I've covered quite a few many years, and in between all those years, that I can name people after people that helped me in my career and in my lifetime to always be, always being mindful of the soil. And so that's why I did a little bit of a spin on it. They were my 4 soil champions, as you may meet, the logo as for the soil champion. I've got my 4 champions there. I am where I'm at today, my father would be so proud, because the farm today has never been any better in the history of our lifetimes. And that's where I'm going with this today, that it's instilled in me so much that I cannot stand to see erosion. And actually, that's what led me to this job. Actually, I was asked by Bill Patterson one time to hire. He wanted to hire me, and I didn't have time at that. I couldn't at that point in time, but eventually I ended up in here and working with farmers, and it's very gratifying to be able to work with them, and always trying to instill into them the values of what I was taught to pass on to others, to always continue to be better at what we're doing. Hope that wasn't too long-winded, but that's as short as I can get it. I hope you all understand how important it is to me that we look back into time. There was a lot of bad things done in the day, but I'm gonna tell you, there's a lot of good things that the old time farming techniques was used that we need to keep in the forefront. Sometimes we got to look back to find example, rotational on your cropping systems, and looking at we're getting to the point where like for a bed pack manure where you use the straw manure, worsening was with composting. So there's some good stuff that went on in the past. Bring that forward, but always be mindful of that soil.
I love that, and the paying it forward, because now Mike and Amy, you are soil health champions and inspiration for so many, as well as so many champions we have across Virginia, which is, what I love about this campaign is we get to highlight that work and use it to instill those principles in current and future generations. So, I guess my next question would be is, how your perspective on soil and why everyone should care about it. It's such a critical resource, from consumers to conservation partners. Mike, you've talked some about the systems thinking approach and how, the web that ties it all together, but would love to hear from all of you on that.
Well, okay, I can, as a food producer, as a vegetable producer, I know how important it is to have, really good soil and healthy soil to grow food. So that's a pretty important aspect of soil health. We have to feed people. And then also keeping our waterways clean. That's terribly important to me, and I think to many, many people. So that's just another aspect, of soil health. Like Mike mentioned, the runoff. Great strides have been taken in that regard over the years with no-till or different farming practices and buffer zones. But still something that we really need to work on is the erosion and just keeping, some of that farming stuff out of our waterways. So super important. And then, like I said, for growing food, it's just it's important, and soil health is just key to that. So just always working on it. It's a work in progress forever, trying to build our organic matter in our soil and trying to get our soil to be super healthy. It's just going to be a lifetime project for anyone who undertakes it. So just glad to see that people are, doing it and interested in learning about it. So thank you.
I can sort of sum it up with one thing in mind, and real simply put, your mother gave you life, the soil gives you life. And I think that's about the sum of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a way, very simply way of putting it in my way of thinking. It's bottom line, that's what gives us life. We lose it, we're done as a society, as a culture.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Thank you both. And, and I also wanted to make sure, and Ennis, hear some of your thoughts on, because you have been with the journey of For the Soil campaign for, what has it been, 18 months now?
Yeah.
in, really thinking about this systems-based approach and the importance of the educational piece around soil health.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you. And I don't know if we wanted to, but I could also share and show a little bit of the website and the ambassador
awesome.
kit. But before I do that, I just wanted to really thank you both for telling stories that were really personal and call people to be doing their best. And because that's really what it takes. And Mike, I love your connection to like real people, because that's what it takes. Like people still respond to word of mouth. We can create a fun, theme for a campaign. We can boil it all down and make it simple to engage people at the beginning, but the real work comes from people talking to people and people showing each other how to do the things that are being advocated. So I think that's a really cool challenge to put out to everybody who's watching this and maybe following this initiative online, is who are you for? Like who do you think of when you think of soil? And it may not even be, if you're a person that isn't a farmer, I can think back to, my grandmother who was a Grange farmer, and what I thought soil was and how she taught me about that. I can think about learning from my friends and my colleagues now about it. And I can think about the connections to things that we've been connected to in the past, like Buy Fresh, Buy Local, or other food initiatives that it's great for me. It's very exciting to see For the Soil become something that I think can be a national rally cry, also, where people everywhere who care about food and land and water and air and everything, wildlife, it connects to everything. So it's really exciting to see. So why don't I share my screen, and let me just get that set up before I do, so we can just, I'll just show you a couple of things that are on the website, and an ambassador toolkit that you can get on the website as well. So everybody see my screen there? Okay, great. And there you are, Amy. That's why I know you so well, because, because we've been working with a website and you're the first picture to pop up.
Wow.
So, real life people doing real life work to share what they're doing around protecting the soil and for the soil. And just to make sure that we give equal coverage, we got some Mike Phillips here too.
Scary.
He's telling a story. I can just see that story coming out of you right there.
I guarantee you. Yeah, no, there's one thing I need to point out on that picture. The hat, look at the hat. That's been around a while, but you see the pin on it?
Uh-huh.
You know what the pin is? Sacagawea. I think I pronounced it. Lewis and Clark.
Yeah.
That is one person never got enough acknowledgement, is her. But anyway, I'm sorry.
Nice. Thank you. No, thank you for pointing that out. So on this site, the whole idea is that this is very simple. Like Mary said, the whole idea behind engaging people in issues and culture and the things around our issues and culture is that there's something in it for everybody. That's how we're going to make a difference. There are people who have obviously been doing this work for a long time and generations before them, but also all of us as people who maybe have small, connections to managing soil, or work with or hire people who manage soil, or buy from people who manage soil. We all have a stake in it. So what we want to do is just find those simple ingredients, and keep it to the ideas, and then let the stories of the people who are doing the work really shine through. So this isn't supposed to be a big website that has tons of resources. What we really want you to do is to learn enough about the 4 principles. So if you need to remember what they are, you can always go here. You can also download some images. If you right click any of these images, you can download them and use them in your own social media. It's a fun way to kind of like add artistic expression to these 4 principles to help them stay in our minds as we're trying to remember them. People can sign the pledge to say that they will follow these core principles whenever they're compatible with their land management goals and operations. So when you do that, you just get your name into this pledge, And you'll be also on a list with all of us, and Mary in particular, to help connect you in to what's going on at the Virginia Soil Health Coalition and other things that are happening in the region. There's great stories. There are fact sheets you can download, tips and resources, and then things that you can do to share with others on social media. You can download a selfie sheet if you want to take pictures. There's also right now up on Facebook, there is a frame that you can put on your photo, and I can demonstrate how to do that at the end as a fun way for people to show that they are for the soil. Lots of hashtags and stories and people. So I hope that people will check this out. And also some of the things that are on this page, there's a really cool interactive infographic that's embedded in this page, and a bunch of videos. They're going to take a second to pop up. But if you're really interested in understanding how, watching professionals who have made this commitment, take the steps to be for the soil. Oh, there we go. Mike, you're good at showing pictures of people. I can see you doing that here.
That's my grandmother.
Nice.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's great. What was her name?
Ruth.
Ruth. Nice. And so there are other there's storytelling videos, there are educational videos, all sorts of good things. And that's about it for the site. When you first come to the site, you will see a window that will pop up. I've been on the site repeatedly, so that window is not popping up right now. It will give you the opportunity to download the Ambassador Toolkit. And what you do is you just fill in your name and your email, so we know who has this toolkit and who's using it. And then I just want to walk you through some of the cool things that you can do to tell this story. So there's a little bit of information on what this initiative is all about, but I think people who are here have a sense of that. All of the graphics that are referenced here can be downloaded on the link here. So you'll just go to a Google Drive, you can download all of these graphics that you'll see in a sec. So there are several different versions of the logo. The logo has obviously the For the Soil slogan, For the Future, and the 4 principles that we're all trying to focus on all the time. There is a version that is We Are. So if you're in an organization and you're making a commitment and taking this pledge to be for the soil, go ahead and download that We Are logo and put it in your email, put it on your social media. And then there's an I Am as well. Oops. Then there are specialty badges on request. So we've been making some badges for people that have a For the Something. So we were asked to do a For the Bay. There's also For the Water, For the Air. We are all available. You can contact us through the website. We can help you customize and connect into the campaign to customize things so it works for you, because it's supposed to support your story. It's not a story by itself. It's a story that we can all leverage to support our own stories. The only other thing about this logo is because it's got so many words in it, if you're going to use it tiny, we're providing these logos so it doesn't get hard to read. Then we've got featured farmers. There's Amy, there's Mike, there's Renard. There are graphics that you can use, that you can help tell this story, that you can cross promote with what you're doing too. Of course, the graphics, there's a photographic version and an illustrative version. And then Amy, you're our poster lady, obviously, because we've been it's such a great photo. So we've included some examples of how you can celebrate things through a post, what you're doing, how you're telling the story. And if you would like to be somebody that would like to be featured as someone that has made a pledge to be for the soil, just email us or contact me, Mary. We have information at the end of this presentation where you can, we can @tag each other. We can post about the principles themselves. One thing you could do is post just one principle at a time and tell how you do it. So how do you do, number 3, how do you maximize living roots? What does that mean? So I'm kind of interested in hearing from one or both of the guests today on what that mean, what these things mean. And then, of course, there are different social media places and different hashtags and ideas for you on how you can caption things, and then how to get a hold of us. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm just going to say I think it's almost 2 years now at this point. This initiative came from a lot of community engagement with people who care the most about soil. There were lots of conversations. There were a lot of opportunities to discuss what made the best messaging, what was most compelling. There was a really big learning curve for us as Social Impact Studios to really think about what is a visual representation of something that tells people visually what is being recommended. It's not just about cool graphics. We learned a lot, about what actually we are talking about. And then I hope that the work that we did is a honorable representation of the work that you all do all the time. I'm really just blessed, and I feel blessed to be part of helping tell a story to support the people who are doing the real work day in and day out. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ines.
Yes, yeah, and for all of your amazing work on this. It's just been really fun. I'm so excited that we're here today on National Soil Health Day and launching this. And like Mike and Amy said about soil health, is we're playing the long game too, is to educate and really share these stories. So Emma's highlighted how we can sign the pledge and share the graphics, but and also to reach out to us and share your stories. We want to find more ways to lift those up, whether through podcast or social media. So, I think what I've been so blessed to be part of with this is working with so many great partners on this campaign. It has been a real partnership-based effort, and you saw them on the website there, but I couldn't list them all here, but the many Virginia Soil Health Coalition partners who have provided guidance, and the many farmers and other partners along the way. So thank you all, and Mike and Amy. And Amy, I know you've got to run and get produce off, so sure.
Maybe we could all do one also together on the count of three. Say thank you to Eric, because he couldn't
Yes.
be
Oh, yeah.
with us. But Eric is our fearless visionary leader in this. Eric Benfeld at Virginia Tech Cooperative Extension. So I love the bird is also saying thank you, but let's just do a 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.